I was browsing my YouTube suggested videos tab this morning, as one does, and discovered what I could only have thought to be a joke video, a ruse, hoodwinkery. But I was wrong. When I made this channel, I promised myself that I would resist the temptations to name any of my videos with the same viral disease that many other channels seem to have given into over time. Titles of videos that make zero sense, and are so evidently named as so in order to attract as many unsuspecting users as possible to click on them, hoping for some sort of visual confirmation within the video they've clicked on of the extreme and, more often than not, completely ludicrous claims made within the title or thumbnail of said video. However, the title of this video doesn't aim to deceive you, but to deliver the terrible truth. The organisation behind the development and maintenance of Hillary Clinton's favourite mobile game, Pokemon Go, was in fact heavily invested in by a venture capital fund at its inception. Nothing wrong there, but the venture capital fund in question was owned and operated by the Central Intelligence Agency, like something straight out of a poorly funded, YouTuber-directed sci-fi dystopian film. Every teenager's favourite mobile game, back in 2016, was in fact being used as a covert tool in order to gather usage data about people's environments as they played the game, of attempting to catch little Pikachus and milling around virtual gyms with dozens of other people. And, to add even more fuel to the fire, this rumour has been present ever since Pokemon Go came into the public mainstream back in 2016. So, maybe our past selves are to blame. This whole situation has come into more of a mainstream spotlight position more recently with the publication of a blog post on the creators of Pokemon Go's website over at Niantic Labs, where they disclosed their attempts, or rather progress, towards building a, quote, large geospatial model to achieve spatial intelligence. I'll put a link to the blog post in the description or pinned comment, wherever YouTube lets me post a link, but essentially, this post talks about how they're using all of the data they've harvested from users playing Pokemon Go, which uses the camera on your phone to project the Pokemon onto the real world in order to train a large language model AI to compare and recognise similar geographical locations recorded from users in order to improve AI's ability to create generative images that feature less inaccuracies. Think about the image generation with ChatGPT or other AI models. This data collection aims to improve the accuracies generated, because I'm sure if you've ever generated your own images, there can be some times where it's just a little weird. Now, from an objective point of view, such a vast amount of collected data from hundreds of millions of users could be used to improve and potentially revolutionise AI within the augmented reality space. Think real-time AI generation of environments within an AR medium. Sounds pretty cool, right? And, well, maybe it is, but the very fact that Niantic Labs took capital given to it from an organisation ran by the CIA in order to create the application that would ultimately be used for such data collection really does make you question whether or not it really is just for the improvement of LLMs and generative AI. To clarify, the organisation that funded the studio would go on to make Pokemon Go didn't exist purely to fund that one company. In-Q-Tel is the name of said company that invested in the studio behind Pokemon Go, has existed since the late to mid-90s under the guise of a, quote, non-profit, privately held corporation owned entirely by the CIA. It primarily uses taxpayer money to invest into startup companies that may eventually produce some sort of material or technological advantage that the CIA can then employ in whatever capacity they see fit. This capacity to use whatever they find useful wherever they see fit seems to include the hundreds of millions of users' data, and not only about their surroundings as they were playing Pokemon Go, but also the usual data points that are collected by companies that glow as bright as the sun. I'm talking location data, contacts, past location data, Bluetooth access, full network access, whatever full network access means. You get the idea. This isn't something you would really want to install on your phone. But of course, many people did, and that's led to where we are now, where the company behind the video game is actually just sort of celebrating the great innovations that can come with this unique and vast dataset, which, to play devil's advocate, is true. They could definitely create some interesting innovations with large language models and AI-generated environments being more accurate and less of a fever dream. But to put it bluntly, Niantic Labs glow so bright, I doubt anything useful or helpful for the general public will come of it. At least nothing that's going to be of benefit to the average person anytime soon. One of the more morally ambiguous thoughts I have about this whole topic is that the target audience of Pokemon Go was quite obviously, at least initially, aimed at children. So not only do we have the Glow Boys funding a mobile game in order to facilitate the mass collection of data, but also the collection of children's data, of minors' data. I have a feeling this is going to be interesting if it was to be picked up by the likes of a certain European Commission, as I'm also certain it would go against GDPR to at least some degree, especially when it comes to the collection of personally identifiable data of minors, which, as we know, were likely the main demographic of Pokemon Go, at least made up a large part of the demographic of the game back in 2016 and still today. But I think everybody back then saw the YouTube compilations that came out about weirdly older people hanging around virtual gyms in order to entice more users and indirectly or directly entice younger users within the vicinity of themselves. Quite dodgy if you think about it that way. In actuality, I don't think anything will come of it, at least not legally. Hell, I only found out about this because of an obscure video being recommended to me in my suggested videos tab. And to add to all of that, it's the CIA. They're pretty untouchable as far as those pesky rules and regulations go, and with GDPR only being enforced on European citizens within Europe, I very much doubt anything substantial will happen in this regard. Besides, if the rumours are true, people have known about this for nearly a decade now, ever since the game came out anyway. You know, I knew my mother was right. It really was just the damn phone. What do you think about Pokemon Go being a CIA-sponsored Psyop? Do you think it's hyperbole? Do you think they're actually going to use this data in any reasonable way? I'm curious. How many of you actually installed and played Pokemon Go? Do any of you still have it installed? And, well, if you do still have it installed, you know what to do. That's pretty much it for this. I wasn't too sure how to go about disclosing this discovery, at least for myself. I'm presuming that many of you already know about this, but this is the first time I've heard about it, and it was a surprise. It was a real big surprise. This was the thing to download on your iPhone 4S back in 2016. I was at school back then, so all my friends were playing it. Hell, even the teachers were getting in on it. So this was a massive cultural phenomenon, and then to learn nearly a decade later that it was actually only ever a thing because the organisation behind Pokemon Go accepted venture capital funding from a CIA source. Weird, man, weird. And also something on the side, the bloke who actually went to found the company to then make Pokemon Go actually used to work at Google. And I believe I think he left a company that was actually purchased by Google. I could be wrong about that, but it's all intertwined in there, and it just makes you think twice about it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Put your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know how you feel about this. Does it even matter with this whole Pokemon Go thing if all of our online data is being scraped by the Glow Boys anyway? Let me know. Like the video if you did like it. Lets me know I'm doing something right. And I'll see you in my next video. Have a good rest of your day.